Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, you're right in time for our press review. We want to take a look at some of the local dailies and the headlines that they're running with to sort of understand where we are as a nation, even as we usher in the new week. Joining us, we have Honorable Edwin Sifuna. He's the Secretary General for ODM. Say closer to him, we have Honorable William Kabogo, who is the former governor for Kiambu County. On the other side, we have Senator Ledama Olekina of Narok and Frederick Okango, Secretary General for Third Way Alliance Kenya. Gentlemen, it's always a pleasure to have you with us here on this Monday morning. And of course, to our viewers who are watching, who've tuned in, 22422 is the SMS line. The hashtag is Daybreak. Let's start engaging now. What questions do you have for this gentleman on this table? Let us know and we shall read that feedback shortly. So many stories in the papers, no idea where to begin, but we'll try to cover a bit of what's making the news and the headlines this morning. Let's start with the front page of the Daily Nation. Pictures of about 8 men, if my mathematics is correct. Their chances is how that story has been titled. Spoilers or contenders, the race for 2022 is hotting up, or should I say heating up. And other than the usual suspects, new faces are emerging. And the first thing that Zinzi noticed about this is that not a single picture of a woman. No, 50 million
Even
Kenyans,
though we're told we should be 50%, our population is 50% women, about 50% men. That's according to the last census. No women on this cover of the paper. But I want to take you to page 4 because there's a question with the framing here. If you look at the second paragraph, okay, let me begin at the start. The race to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta is shaping up. As expected, it's getting crowded already, 2 years to the ballot. But meanwhile, as always, the contest will come down to 2 factors, numbers and money, lots of it. Nothing about track record, nothing about corruption, ideologies or parties, or even, you know, sort of if they've been implicated in any corruption scandals or not, but about numbers and money. Honorable Sifuna, let me start with you.
First of all,
your thoughts on this, and should we really be having this discussion right now?
First of all, you should tell your viewers that that is a view of the paper. That is what they think it will come down to. But as you have rightly pointed out as a Kenyan voter yourself, you believe that there is more to it than just money and numbers. Number 2, I believe the regulations on campaign financing, which were suspended in the last election, were expressed to come into force in the next election. So I think, you know, we will see if Parliament this time round will let those laws take effect, and there will be a capping on how much people would spend on elections. But it is also true that elections are about numbers, so I wouldn't fault the paper for that. It is about how many people you can get to your side.
Does the list surprise you? Do you see anything and think, ooh, I'm not sure that?
Yeah, if you ask me, there are people who shouldn't be on this list, but it is really up to them.
Are there others who should be, like the man next to you, for example?
I don't know. I mean, it is his decision to make on whether he wants to run or not. But I can see on this page people who have absolute no chance. But it is a democratic right for us as ODM. The position remains that we are not interested in discussing matters of 2022. You will see in the same newspaper there is a report indicting the IEBC for how it conducted the last election. So in the absence of discussion and resolution of all the problems that we faced during the last election, really, we are wasting time discussing 2022.
Honorable Kabogo, your thoughts?
My take is very simple. I don't know whether we should be discussing elections now. You've actually said somewhere that it's 2 years to the elections. It's not 2 years. Elections were held on the 8th of August, 2 years ago. So we've got 3 years to go. So really, papers should stay away from, this is not worth a headline. Number 1, I'm missing from the list. You understand what I'm saying? You've put new guys here. I can see, who is this?
That's
Mohisa Kitui, Gideon Moi, Matiangi. I don't know for what.
Don't you not think they deserve to be on the list?
The issue is, it is not yet time to discuss elections. Let's discuss about building Kenya, taking Kenya to the next level. It's not about elections. It's not about referendums.
So what's
you know, we have reduced the topics on every newspaper. If you look, it's about, except this one today, that has Sonko and his
new campaign.
I'm not sure whether it's a new campaign.
Oh,
I don't know what it is. I do not want to go into it. But you will see day in, day out, we still talk about elections. When is it that you people in media will engage the country in development matters as opposed to elections all the time?
Well, yesterday
it is you people who set the stage.
We had a special report on climate change yesterday. Last week we had a special report on the state of our hospitals.
Make it a daily affair.
Thank you.
Okay.
Make it a daily affair.
But
let's
discuss.
Let's discuss. You talked about women.
Yes.
Not being on the cover of this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let us give women space to talk about themselves.
But also, Governor, and a voter will be asking, okay, fine, you've clearly misspelled what the media is doing or is not doing. Someone would say then the same politicians are the ones on the ground every weekend in churches campaigning. And
those are the ones we are saying they shouldn't be doing it. As a matter of fact, if any of them continue doing this, we'll bar them from standing for any position.
You as who?
We as Kenyans.
We as Kenyans.
Are you forgetting I'm Kenyan?
No, I'm not forgetting.
Yes, we as Kenyans.
You as Kenyans?
Yes.
SD coming.
You know, all the time, Harambes in churches, money here, and you've talked about money.
He's party leader and others were at Harambee the other day.
Is it clean money that we are talking about in elections? Yes. This time around, we should be telling people, tell us where this money is coming from. You tell us that you make a lot of profit in your companies. Show us your returns for Kenya Revenue Authority that you've paid dividend on money that you've taken from your companies. And some of these things are not being backdated.
Speaking of money, Fred, according to this article, 600 million Kenyan shillings is what the Jubilee government had spent in terms of their campaign, the presidential campaign, everything. At the end of the day, is President Uhuru Kenyatta's endorsement necessary for him to name his predecessor? Is it necessary? Should we be holding our breath to see who President Uhuru Kenyatta will endorse?
President Kenyatta has one vote. Just one vote.
The people of
so it's
Kenya
not necessary.
are the ones who endorse the leaders through a ballot. So it's unnecessary to endorse anyone. But if you look at this headline, I think it's meant for copy sales. So if they wanted to sell copies, maybe today the supporters of these faces here would buy. I don't know. But let me tell you, this country went to an election and they elected leaders. Those leaders promised Kenyans certain things that they will fulfill. Today, as we speak, there are mothers who still go to the hospital and cannot afford to pay Medicare.
Okay.
Their children
I'll ask you to hold there because we seem to have a challenge with your mic, and let's get somebody to fix that. Honorable Olekina, please come in. Your thoughts on this list. SD will come back to you.
I agree with both Governor Kavogo and Sifuna, our SG, very able, that it's about time that we shift our focus and we talk about cancer, we talk about things, the environment, we talk about things that makes people want to look forward to another day. Our environment is heavily polluted. We cut trees on a daily basis. I think that is the focus. And I agree with Sifuna that the media sometimes shifts. Whatever is sensational is what sells. In fact, when you look at the press, in most cases, money, sex, alcohol, and murder is really what sells. It's pathetic. And also when you think about the way we've been cultured, the way we've been accustomed to believing in money, that whoever has money makes the best leader, but they don't. Whenever they get into office, they spend all that time recovering what they spend on you. If the Jubilee government spent 600 million, who cares? What we care about is, are we going to have a Kenya in the next 20 years? I saw one of your features last night that talked about a country which is heavily polluted. It's about time that we start looking at how do we change our laws. Kenya is a dump site for old cars. Why don't we reduce the taxes on new cars and increase taxes on old cars so that we can be able to save our environment? The Japanese, the British, the Chinese know that if you want to sell a car, you use a car for 8 years and then dump it in Kenya. That's exactly what is happening. And we are encouraging that. Because when you ask a Kenyan out there if he can afford a new car, he'll tell you no. But why? Because we in the country, we're so greedy that if you buy a car for $100,000 in the US or maybe in the UK, you'll come and pay $100,000 here. Which Kenyan can pay 10 million shillings for taxes? And for what reason? So I think we need to completely stop talking about these. And who knows if you're going to be alive in 2022? There are some other people in this list that you can see, if I can just mention. And some of them, I believe that they're just being fattened for slaughter, you know, because they are literally doing completely different things that people think they are good, but they are not. They're destroying this, this country, you know. So, in my view, let us shift the focus.
Let us shift the focus.
And I think you guys can lead in that.
Okay, and we're about to shift the focus. Let us get his take, then we shift the focus.
I have seen the headline, The Nation Today, and as I said earlier, this is meant to sell copies. And most likely, the authors knew that the supporters of the faces here would buy. And to them, it is a business. Kenyans today are not interested, especially now, in who is going to be the next president. They're interested that their children can go to school. They're interested that the mothers can deliver without being charged in the hospital, universal health care. They're interested in infrastructure development in the wards, in the villages where the people are. And therefore, if you look at some of these faces, by the way, some of them will not even pass the test of leadership integrity. They cannot. So it is unfortunate that we can use that to, sell, but ignore the needs of Kenyans, millions of them out there who want water, electricity, food every day. This is very embarrassing.
And we talk about equality on and off. Apart from the fact that there's no female face here, there's also not a young person. Yet this country, majority of us are young people.
Probably because one of the young candidates is still trying to change the laws so that he can be there next time. But we know that also very old, tired, similar faces. Governor Kabogo is here. He has said he has a right to vie. Why not him? Why not Dr. Ekuru? Why not Ledama? I mean, let us be serious. When we want to give Kenyans something new, let the media also learn to invoke the emotions of the people by bringing new faces.
And
that's what we want.
And speaking of new, this referendum that you have as Stadio Alliance, how do you think it will affect, or rather affect the upcoming elections in 2-3 years?
We are not interested in election for now. We're interested in giving Kenyans a constitution that will enable them have services at their doorstep.
But the same referendum is still the same one that will allow these same faces to vie again.
We'll talk about that when you arrive there.
Okay. Honorable Sifuna, you've been scribbling some notes.